In this video, I'm going to be doing a full breakdown of how to achieve the perfect bouncy blow dry. I'm going to be showing products, techniques, and how I preserve my blow dry to make it last as long as possible throughout the week without using any additional heat. Okay, so I like to start on towel dried hair. After I finish washing my hair, I like to let it sit in a towel anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. So by the time I start blow drying my hair, I'd say it's still about 60% wet. Just because of the texture of my hair, I find it easier to manipulate when it's more on the wet side rather than the dry side. Now let's go through post-wash styling products, which not only help me to achieve a really smooth and sleek blow dry, but also to protect the health of my hair and scalp. I like to first go in with this Kerastase scalp serum, and because this scalp serum can be used on wet or dry hair without making the hair feel greasy or weighed down, I like to use this most evenings as part of my nighttime hair care routine. I use one full dropper and just apply it to my scalp and massage it in until it's dry. Also, side note, all of the products and tools mentioned in this video are going to be put in the description box down below in the order that they're mentioned. Next, I'm going in with some leave-in conditioner. I'm just using a John Frieda one here. I'm not too precious about brands when it comes to leave-in conditioner. For me, they just provide some slip to help me detangle my hair. I just apply this mostly throughout my lengths and ends. Next, I'm going in with the GHD Volume Forever Blow Dry Cream. This actually came free with the GHD Blow Dry tool, so I've been using it and I do like it. I do think it helps me achieve a smoother and sleeker blowout. And again with this, I'll just apply it mostly to the lengths and ends, and whatever's left over I'll apply it to the roots and work it in. At this point I like to detangle my hair. I like to detangle my hair after I've applied the products, just because the products give my hair some slip, which makes the brush glide through my hair so much easier. I'm using the Unbrush here, which I've mentioned in my previous video. It's my favourite brush because it doesn't have a back to it, so there's less product build-up. Product build-up can make your hair feel greasy a lot quicker. Speaking of my previous video, if you want to know more about my full hair care routine, check that video out. I go over things like hair oiling, scalp health, how I wash my hair and all of that stuff. Okay, now to actually start the blow dry, you'll notice throughout the video that I work in really neat sections when I'm doing my blow dry. This just helps me not miss any hairs and completely smooth everything out without any tangles. I usually like to work in 3 bigger sections. You can see the first section I took above my ears here, and then I like to split those big sections into 3 smaller sections and work through them one by one. So here's my first section that I'm going to be blow drying. I take a section about this thick and then make sure that I pin the rest of my hair out of the way. And the tool I'm going to be using to blow dry my hair is the GHD Duet Blow Dry. I either use this or the Dyson Airwrap most of the time when I'm blow drying my hair. I am going to do a separate video about how I use the Dyson Airwrap, but I bought this GHD Duet Blow Dry a couple months ago and I've used it non-stop since I bought it. I love it so much. It is just so much less time consuming than a Dyson Airwrap, and even with my thick hair, I can take big sections and get a blow dry done so quick in literally like half an hour. In terms of the technique, you can see what I'm doing here. I try to keep as much of the footage for the first section in real time so that you can see how long it takes me to work on one section. But basically, I just take the blow dryer in front of the section, hold it at the root for 3 seconds to dry the root, and pull it down slowly with tension. And then I repeat the same thing but place the blow dryer behind the hair, and again do like a half turn and glide it down slowly. And I just keep repeating this, putting the hair behind the blow dryer and in front of the blow dryer until it is 100% dry. I do quite a lot of passes just to make sure I'm happy with how smooth it's looking. If you find that you're still having frizz in your hair, that probably means you haven't done enough passes. And then once I'm sure that my roots are 100% dry, I'll start working on the ends and shaping them. I'll just glide the blow dry down and keep twisting my ends, and then on the last pass I will twist the hair all the way up and hold it there to create a curl and release it gently. You want to do this slowly to make sure that you're not getting your hair caught in the device. And here is what the first section is looking like. Now I'm just repeating that for the last two sections on this side. And this is the last section done on this side. I then just like to take all three sections that I blow dried and blow dry it as one big section and just curl it up just to make sure everything's all smooth. But this is the first half of the bottom section done. Now we can move on to the other side. Now I do the same exact thing on the other side. I split the big section into three smaller sections and blow dry them one by one. I still curl away from my face and twist out like this. And here is the bottom section nearly complete. Just as a last step, I like to join the two sides of the hair together and blow dry this middle bit just to make sure I've not missed any hairs and everything's really sleek. This really helps with making sure that there's no frizz and it's all smooth. And that is the bottom section done. I like to just tie this with a scrunchie so it's out of the way and we can move on to the next section. For the second section, you can see how I'm creating a part here with a comb. I just take this part of the hair and pin it up out of the way, and this will be our last section. This is what the part is looking like, and all the hair that's left down will be the bit that we're working on. And for the middle section, it'll be the exact same thing as the bottom section. I take the big section, split it into two, and then split each of those two sections into three and blow dry them one by one using the same technique. And getting that tension is especially important for these front pieces around your face, just to make sure everything's smooth and sits nicely around your face. And here is what it's looking like so far. Now we can just move on to the other side of this section. And here I'm just making sure again that I'm really smoothing out those front pieces. And again, just finishing this section the same way I did with the bottom section, just taking that middle piece and really smoothing it out to make sure everything's all sleek. And here is what it's looking like so far. As you can see, there's literally no frizz. It's so smooth, so silky and shiny. And now moving on to the final section, I like to split this section into 3 sections. Here's the first section that I'm doing here. And again, the technique is the same here, but I'm just holding the device horizontally, so placing the device behind the hair and then in front of the hair and twisting in the same way to get that curl. And I think the top section is the most important because it's where you can create the most body and volume, so I like to take a medium to large size Velcro roller and roll that section of hair away from my face, really making sure there's a lot of tension and I'm not missing any of the hairs. And this is what the first section should be looking like when it's done. Now I just repeat the same exact thing that we just done for the first section, for the second section, same technique, same everything. And here is what the second section should be looking like when it's done. And now we can move on to the final section. Again, for the final section, I do everything the same way, but the only difference is that I end up curling towards my face and I put the Velcro roller towards my face as well. I just think that this creates more volume and I like the way this face framing piece falls on my face when I do it inwards. And here is the top and final section all done. I just let these rollers sit in my hair anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes and then we can take them out. And when taking out these rollers, you want to be really gentle so your hair doesn't get caught in it or break or anything like that. I just put my index finger and my middle finger in the roller and untwist it and pull. And here is the blow dry complete. I just like to comb through it once so it falls nicely when I run my fingers through it. And to finish, I like to take 2 to 4 pumps of this Dry Bar Liquid Glass Finishing Serum. This just keeps my hair looking really shiny and makes sure any flyaways are smoothed out. I concentrate this mostly on the lengths and ends, and whatever's left over I'll run through the top of my hair. Then the last step is just taking some of this Orbate dry texturizing spray, mostly through the roots and a little bit through the lengths, just to give that volume and body and hold. I really like dry texturizing sprays over hairsprays because they don't leave your hair feeling sticky. And now you can see when I flip my hair, the volume stays there at the top, there's a lot of body. Now, to make my blow dry last as long as possible throughout the week without using any additional heat, I like to take my favourite heatless curl tool at the moment, which is the Eternal Muse Jumbo Bun Bonds. But before I put those in, I like to give my ends some moisture to make sure a curl really forms, and I use the Kérastase Nutri Night Serum for that. This is just like a moisturiser for your hair, for your lengths and ends, and it's actually really nice. As you can see, I just created the first section to put the roller in. For each section, I like to over-direct the hair towards my face and then put the roller in and roll it towards my face. I use my thumb to tuck in any shorter hairs as I have layers. And then when I reach my scalp, I like to twist the roller a few times and then secure it. Then I just put the little mini silk bonnet that it comes with, which really helps keep the roller secure overnight. And that's the first section done. I just repeat the same thing for the last 2 sections, so you'll have 3 sections in total. And I know when I was blow drying my hair with the GHD, I was curling away from my face, but now that I'm putting the heatless rollers in, I'm doing it towards my face. I don't really know why I do this, I'm just used to curling away from my face, but honestly these heatless curlers don't work if you do it away from your face. There's just not enough tension, but Either way, it doesn't matter. You can curl whatever way you want, towards your face or away from your face. The result still comes out good, which I'll show you at the end. But anyway, here is all 3 rollers in. I'm just going to sleep with these overnight and I'll show you the results in the morning. And here I am the next morning just taking out the heatless curlers. These are so comfy to sleep in, and I'm saying that as someone who has such a tender scalp. The bun bonds and the unicorn heatless curls are the only heatless curls I can actually sleep in. I am going to make a separate video of me going through all the different heatless curl tools and showing my favourite ones, because I think I've literally tried all of them at this point. But here is the result right after taking them out. As you can see, it's very curly, but there is a lot of volume. I actually prefer the curls when they drop a little bit, maybe after an hour or 2, so I'm just combing them out here. Whilst I was doing my makeup and getting ready, the curls did drop, and now they're at a state where I actually like them, so I take a few drops of oil and run that through the ends. And I'll just put heatless curls in my hair every evening until my next hair wash day, and that means I have to use minimal heat throughout the week. I also like to use heatless curls when I've styled my hair before going out, and I'll just leave them in while I'm doing my makeup. But even just leaving them for a few hours on heat styled hair gives a really nice result. I always use heatless curl tools as a method of preserving heat styled hair rather than not using any heat at all. I don't know if this defeats the purpose, but for me it means that I'm still using minimal heat. But here's just some short form TikTok videos of me taking out my heatless curl tools that I've done before. As you can see, I use them quite often and the results have always been really nice. They never let me down, and yeah, I just love it. But I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. Bye!